Alrighty, Bat family, here we are doing our weekly Zoom call. We're going to jump right into things this week. Hope everyone is excited for this upcoming trading month. We are starting the month of December today. Today is December 1st, and we have a ton of news events to cover. Lots of economic news to start off the new trading month. Lots of high impact and medium impact news. On top of that, we'll also be covering our trading pairs that we typically cover every single week, which are the NASDAQ 100, the US 30, gold. We've been looking at silver lately, as well as Bitcoin and XRP. Now, for those that have not joined, I do have a free Telegram channel. The link is in the video description here. It is Bat Signals. I do send, my apologies. I do send updated analysis and signals every single week and keep you guys updated, keep myself accountable, weekly report cards, weekly Zoom calls, as you see here. And without further ado, we're just going to jump right into things here. So here we are on Monday. We have high impact news for the US dollar during New York session at 6:45 a.m., which is Pacific Standard Time. So Eastern Time would be 9:45 a.m. So we have Final Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, ISM Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index. We have an FOMC member speaking later that afternoon at 12:15. And then right before London Open, we have Consumer Price Index for the Swiss franc. On Tuesday, we have high impact news for the US dollar during New York session shortly after the open. We have Jolt's job opening, which is a high impact news event. And this basically is number of job openings during the reported month, excluding the farm industry. So non-farm payroll jobs that have been added to the economy here in the US. Later that afternoon, during Asia session, we have Australian dollar gross domestic product. So high impact news for the Australian dollar during Asia session Tuesday. Wednesday, during London session, we have Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking. So high impact news for the Great British Pound. We have a non-farm employment change, which is high impact news for the USD pre-New York Open. In addition to that, we have ISM Services Purchasing Managers Index, high impact news shortly after that. And later that morning, we have Jerome Powell speaking. So high impact news again later that morning. Hello, Daniel. How you doing? Just covering the news real quick, and then we're jumping into the analysis here. Apologies for the delay, but we are up and running. Thursday, during London session, we have medium impact news, construction purchasing managers index. Later that morning, unemployment claims for the US dollar pre-New York Open. And lastly, on Friday, we have employment change for the Canadian dollar, unemployment rates for the Canadian dollar, NFP, which is non-farm payroll, and unemployment rates all for the US dollar here on Friday. So Friday is going to be a very eventful day. Overall, this entire week has a ton of high impact and medium impact news, and Friday is just going to top everything off. This should be a great week with lots of opportunities, so I am looking forward to it here. So to start things off, we'll just be looking straight at gold. Okay, so gold so far has pushed up last week up to, we got right above 2650. So made a high at 2665. The left-hand side, we're on the daily. And the right-hand side, we're going to the weekly. So we'll change the weekly high to previous week's high, the weekly low to previous week's low. This can be made as an area of demand now, since this is 2 weeks old now. Perfect. Okay, so we can see that gold reacted from this previous area of what appeared to be support, but acting as resistance now. So if we move this over here, drop down to a lower time frame, the 12-hour time frame, there is resistance at the 2660 price range here. We're actually going to go down to the 4-hour on the left-hand side, 12-hour on the right-hand side. And let's just take a deeper look here. So it looks like price hit this, you could call it a fair value gap or resistance right here, previous support. The price reacted from this area here. On the weekly time frame, you can see that it was a wick, and we were right in the middle of that candle. So let's just go back so you can see. If we follow our method that I was showing last week for the Fibonacci's, if we were to measure this here, and if price is bearish, so we say this was the first push, this was a lower high point, and now for next week, we may see a continuation down. So if this was our lower high, we may see a pullback to tap this area of resistance once again. It might even take liquidity if we are still valid for a bearish setup, and then we could come down to 25.90, which is what I was saying last week. It still lines up with that analysis. And we could even push as low down to this area of demand, so 25.75 down to 25.60. That would be a pretty big move, but gold does move like that. So back to the 12-hour. This area would need to be the high, or it would need to come up one more time to take liquidity and continue lower. But on the lower time frame, you can see higher highs and higher lows, like it looks as if it's bullish. But according to the higher time frame, it does look like it wants to continue lower. Left-hand side 4-hour, and then we'll go to the 2-hour on right-hand side 4-hour, left-hand side 2-hour chart. Okay. We can see this little area that's broken. Ultimately, it just looks like it's going to push bearish when we open today for market open, come down to 2630 possibly even the previous week's low. That's just how it looks. If price makes a higher low from this area, there is a possibility that we just see a push bullish, maybe something like this. But I'd be wary here as this is a fair value gap, area of resistance, and it could take liquidity. But if it doesn't, it's just going to keep driving higher, and there's a clear range up to 26.90 and to 27.10. But for now, I am still leaning to more bearish price action. Monthly time frame still closes the bearish candle, but like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of wick rejection here. A lot of rejection, a lot of seller's exhaustion, and we did not close below the previous month's candle. It's a little hard to say. So we need to see a few different things to get confirmation. But at least to start the week, I am seeing a bearish move. Next, let's look at silver real quick. Someone in the B.A.T Academy, the B.A.T chat, had caught sells on silver this week for a really big move. It was along with our gold sells that we had called here. There's an area of demand right here. This is the previous week's low. Let's mark that off real quick. Next, we have this area of resistance right here. Silver as well looks like it wants to push bearish to start the week. It could do a similar situation as gold, either continue pushing lower or make some type of higher low and drive back into this resistance and either take liquidity or continue with the overall bearish trend. We look at the monthly time frame. It did close bearish. It did close below the previous month's candle as well. If price does see initial bearish push, like I was just saying, we could see that move back into resistance based off this monthly time frame too. So it might tap into this and then start moving lower. Weekly is hard to say. Yeah, I still think it's going to push bearish to start the week, and then we may see a bullish move up to this point, or it could take liquidity as well, just similar with gold. Maybe something like that, and then goes. But overall, bearish on silver as well. Next, let's look at the NASDAQ 100 here. NASDAQ has had some really clean price action, although to start the week, it gapped significantly, which was this gap here on the left-hand side. So we'll start with the 12-hour on the left, monthly on the right. Strong bullish candle close for the monthly time frame. We drop down one to the weekly. Let's see. You can see a reaction from support, major wick rejection, which is this area right here where this zone is. Just this here. There's an area of demand here that price tapped into to hold and ultimately make that move higher. This is now our previous week's high. This down here is now our previous week's low. This is our previous month's high, so we'll make that PMH. Alrighty, on top of that, let's see. We did not break above the weekly high, but we did close bullish. We dropped down to the 4-hour on the left-hand side here. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, strong bullish candle, 4-hour time frame. Broke above this resistance here to make that move. Hello, Adrian, welcome. Right now we're covering the NASDAQ 100. We've already covered the news, gold, and silver, so we do have a few pairs left to go over. For NASDAQ, we could see a pullback down to here, tap here, and continue, but we could open bullish to start the week as well. It may just continue pushing and break above the previous week's high. Yeah, overall, I still believe the NASDAQ is bullish. It does look like price is ready to break above the previous week's high. You can see a higher low point where the previous week's low is, another higher low right here where the demand is, and yeah, it just literally looks like it's going to continue. Let's see here. We could measure where we could potentially go for this week. So if we use the Fibonacci expansion or extension, or I'm sorry, Fibonacci retracement tool, we'll just measure here to here the previous higher low, or yeah, previous higher low point to the current high. We have a area of take profit at the previous month's high, which is this negative 27%, where the area of supply is. So 21,200, and then potentially a move up to 21,400, which that's what I've been saying these last few weeks, and potentially up to 2160, which is the overall time frame or higher time frame Fibonacci extension level. So this green zone is the same thing I just did, but on the monthly time frame, which is why it's way up here. So it's lining up with that. NASDAQ's looking bullish. If we measure just this push we're currently on, so this is the higher time frame, higher low, higher high, or current high, higher low to current high. We measure just the daily time frame, which is this move to this move. You can see shorter term targets, but same thing, 2170. So this would probably be 21,050 realistically. You could take profit right above and then up to the previous or up to the supply, the previous month's high, which is 21,190, which lined up with what I was just showing a second ago. To take advantage of this, could literally, if we do get a pullback, which we have confluence right here at this 2845, so 21,000 to 20,800, around that price range. If we get a pullback, one could execute a buy like this. And it's a good 1 to 5. This is a good 2 to 6, 2 to 2.5 risk reward ratio. Overall, good setup, clean move. Just have to wait for a pullback on this and could be really easy to catch. I'll be watching for this one. So I'm going to put an alert at 2,900. So we may get a signal on this pretty early on. Alrighty, next, US 30. US 30, same thing. Still looking to climb higher. We broke the all-time highs last week and made a new all-time high. So we'll put that here, ATH, which is all-time high. Current resistance. This is also our previous week's high. And you can see that price gapped higher last week, right at the open, and it never came back down to fill. So that's pretty interesting. Normally, or usually, price does fill in that gap when that happens in the week and then continues as normal, but it never came back. So we have resistance there. We have some type of previous supply, which acted as support slash demand. Left-hand side going to go to the 12-hour, right-hand side going to go to the weekly. Geez, strong bullish candle, just literally gapped higher. Monthly time frame, very strong bullish candle. We may pull back potentially to this point here, which is where that gap was. Price may come down to fill that gap and then continue in the direction it's already heading. We could see something like this to start the week and then a continuation. This zone up here is based off the higher time frame Fibonacci extensions, which I can show you real quick. So same thing. This started way back here, I believe. And this is the first move. So we hit our current take profits. Second move is going to be this one here, where we have our zone. So I have it at a key psychological level, which is the 46,000 point. And then as you can see, the extension levels go up to 46, almost 47,000 and at just above 49,000 as well. But that's where this zone's based off of. It's the same exact concept. So that's what we're targeting. Let's drop down to the daily time frame. So we have this minor support right here. If this breaks, this could be a good momentum move to get in for sells. Would be like such heavy volume. Could sell right down to the support or even possibly lower, but the stop loss is pretty wide. You would need to get in on this as it's pushing, like during New York session, right above a 15-minute, 5-minute high, 30-minute high. So on the left-hand side, say it's New York open, there's heavy sell volume, price breaks below that support. That stop loss would need to be above a previous candle as it's going. And should be able to catch that, or a good amount of it. We'll be watching for that, but overall, that's a counter trend move. We would need to see some bearish price action, a lot more confirmation. Overall, I see it going higher though throughout this month. just where we're at currently, since price hasn't filled that gap, it is going to, it always does at some point in time. I just don't know if it'll be this upcoming week. I believe it will. We have some rejection here. This would be the confirmation, a break below this support, this daily structure here. I could see, at least I'm envisioning, if we get some type of similar rejection, another wick rejection like as such, a bearish candle, we break here, and it's just going to be a clean move. Similar to as we've seen in the past. Something like that, like this. If you use the rectangle tool like that, and we add that here, it literally fills in the price gap. It's a similar move. It always, well, not always, but price consistently moves in clean movements like that on the US 30 in both directions. So same concept applied. You can definitely see that a clean move could happen down to the downside on a during New York session. That could be a good one. Going to set an alert at 44,800. As that would be the low. We're approaching a point either price is going to react from push up higher or break with lots of momentum downward. Next, we're going to move on to Bitcoin. These are our final pairs here. This is the trade that I called in the Academy channel. So we had our stop loss below the daily low, and this one was pretty clean. We didn't really have any drawdown. It moved pretty quick. So this was the candle, pushed up, came back down to tap once more in our entry zone. So I had called it from 955, so 95,500 through 95,000 with the stop loss at 94,650. And as you can see, it pushed up, called to take profit at this point, and it came back to retest. So one could have, if I was, really trying to consistently catch every move on this pair, could have called it again, re-entered, and caught the next move up to which was our second take profit point, the 98,000 price point. But this was just the trade breakdown here and the overall signal. So now where Bitcoin is headed this week, though, we're still very, very bullish. Price is still looking to break 100,000. We still haven't hit that point. It is looking like we will this week. Absolutely will this week. Overall, it's going to go to 105,000. It's going to sweep 100K like it wasn't even there. There is a ton of liquidity up here. There is so much liquidity, so many people shorting Bitcoin right now. Once we hit this point, it's going to absolutely rocket. It's going to blast. It's going to liquidate all of those shorters, all the short sellers, and just be a fat bullish candle all the way through. As you can see, it's already happening, and this is just the 4-hour time frame. If we zoom out and go to the daily, same thing. You can literally see it happening right now. We're going to break above this resistance point at 97,000, 97,500. You can call it 600 if you want, 97,600. But either way, we smacked into the supply, reacted, came back down, kind of ranged a bit, but we still held structure. We still held this area. That's exactly what you need to see. This green zone here was based off the same concept I was showing off of gold and the NASDAQ and US 30. But this is the higher time frame take profit area that was based off the monthly from way below down here. So I can show it real quick. You start it from the major low point up to the previous high right here, which was the previous all-time high. You can see that our first area was the 90K region, which we smashed through. Price even retested that point. If we go down to a lower time frame, to push up, hit it, retest it here, is now driving to complete the overall expansion level, which is at that 105, 106,000, 107,000 price point. So I think this could happen this week. We're already driving towards it. Once we get to that 99,000 point right here, it's just gonna absolutely break through this time. That would be the one, two, three, the fourth time we've hit price at that point, and there's a lot more bullish momentum, a lot more bullish structure, a lot more confirmation. It's just going to absolutely smash through this. So I may be calling a buy signal on here for the premium channel. This is looking pretty nice. Yeah, that might come. That might come in a little bit, but something like this, you could have the stop loss below the weekly low here, or the daily low, I should say, not the weekly low. Weekly low is all the way right here. Oh, right here, actually. Weekly low is down here. My apologies. But stop loss below this daily low here. Once it breaks above, you could have first take profit at 98,500, but I do believe we'll break through. So you could take profit 99,000, 100,000. This is still a 1 to 6, 1 to 5 risk reward ratio. And if you were to hold it through volatility, it's going to get crazy through here. There's going to be a ton of volatility through here. So you could catch some short-term scalps if you wanted to, but the overall move is going up to 105, and that's a over 4.5 risk reward ratio just from the current price point. So that's a really good setup. But we may be calling this again here later this afternoon. We'll see. Overall, Bitcoin bullish, 105K in sights. Once we break 100K, ton of liquidity up there, going to liquidate a lot of short sellers, and that's what's going to fuel that move all the way to 105,000 and possibly beyond. We are in price discovery right now. It's at a new all-time high. Every time an asset makes a new all-time high, it goes through price discovery, and ultimately, it doesn't really follow the traditional rules that you would expect for trading. So it can just continue climbing higher. It acts a lot more irrational and it's way more volatile. So lots of opportunities, but also have to manage your risk and even use less exposure in these conditions. Lastly, we're going to look at XRP. This pair, oh my goodness, it is heavily overperforming right now because it has underperformed for so long these last few years because of that SEC lawsuit. So this month, this is just one monthly candle. That's just absolutely insane. But we went from 50 cents or slightly below 50 cents, yeah, 49 cents up to right below $2. So you can see that's 300%. I think that might even be a little more, but according to the price measurement tool, 300%. Price is currently pulling back, and we may see a retest at the $1.75 point, $1.70 to get in on a pullback. Ultimately, we're going to break all-time highs, but for the short term, we're approaching $2.25. Once it smashes through there, it's just going to target all-time highs at $3.30. Beyond that point is our higher time frame areas, which is the $5 price point, actually 5.50, but $5 in sight. And then from that point, it may extend up to $7, $7.50, even $8 this year. Or not this year, as in 2024, but 2025, this bull run, I should say. During this bull run, we may target $7 to $8. And this is based off the same concept that I've been saying. So you could do this here. Right, we have our first points. These are the expansion levels. So these ones at the very, very top are the overall area that price could go to. So these green ones, the negative 27%, negative 61.8, this is more of a shorter term target. And these are more consistent than with these higher time frame ones. You can focus on these ones, but this could take months to play out. It could take all year. It could even take a week if it's, absolutely crazy market conditions. But focusing on these ones here are a lot more consistent. And a lot of times, if you're swing trading, you can literally just target these and it will go if you let the trade play out and breathe. You just have to have lower risk. And you can't fixate on these either. As you can see, price rejects. And if you see that type of price action, then you're going to have to adapt to what you see. But if you keep these levels in mind, it already gives you an idea of, okay, price is going to go from this point we're currently at up to potentially here, and we have all the confirmation. We just have to continue seeing structure form and continually see candles going in the direction that we are anticipating. So for bullish, we want to see a lot more bullish candles, strong bullish candles, engulfing candles, and that's all we're seeing here. Strong bullish candles, engulfing candles. And that lines up with our confirmation for those higher time frame take profit levels. And this can be used on literally all time frames, even the 15, 5 minute, 30 minute if you're scalping. You just can't fixate on them because it's a tool. It's not what price is doing. It just measures previous price to see where we could potentially go. So a lot of times I would fixate on these and then, be way up in profit and be like, okay, I'm going to trust. And then it would reverse and I would miss out on a really good move. So don't fixate on these, but also keep them in mind. They're good places to place alerts and be overall mindful of what's happening. But a lot of times price will push, retest that first area right here. A lot of people think it's going to reverse after it does that and keep going lower, but it usually acts as support or generally, more often than not, acts as support. So we may see something like that. See that first push after we get this pullback here. See it break above $2.50. It's going to come back down, retest 240, 245, get in on a continuation and ride the remaining up to the next level. Stop loss below that wick that would have been made and catch the next move. And at this point, it just very well break above all-time highs and catch a clean move. But overall, that's all I have for you guys this week. This will be uploaded to YouTube in about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, depends how long it takes me. And appreciate you guys for stopping by this morning. We have an exciting trading month coming up. Overall is looking very optimistic. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and join my Bat Signals free Telegram channel. Link is in the video description. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. And report card will be shared here this afternoon. We only called 2 trades, but they were both winning trades, and we have caught over 150 to 300 pips depending on the entry price. So just optimistic, excited, things are looking up, and hope you guys have a great weekend. Peace.